this is it's heartbreak to say the least. And I know for you, your heart is even more hurt than mine by the series of injuries we have seen to the Indiana Fever. But the reality is, and I said this on ESPN radio over the weekend, they're still in the thick of a playoff race, despite all of the shortcomings and despite the players that they have missed over the last few months. They are still finding ways to win, even if it's not pretty. So take it away with item number 1 in this week's starting 5, Rebecca.
Yeah, I mean, I was already heartbroken when I woke up to the score of the Phoenix game that I could not bring myself to watch. And
I watched it. It was not fun.
Then I find out that Sydney Colson and Ari McDonald are hurt. And then you find out later, I was like in shock. I was not well. Then you find out they have season-ending injuries. And for Sydney Colson, who just turned 36, I think, like the day before, is that potentially career-ending for her? So the one shining point is that if you had missed it, Ari McDonald was in the midst of working on like a 20-page paper. She got 200 out of 200 points on it. So there's some good news.
Because now she can't play basketball. She can focus on getting her master's degree. There's that.
Exactly. There's
also this part of it, Rebecca. So again, for those who may have missed it, Sid Colson done for the year with a torn ACL in her left knee. That is her first torn ACL, correct? She hadn't torn it previously, or at least not that one. Yeah. So it's obviously awful for the backup point guard for the Indiana Fever. But then Ari McDonald with a broken bone in her foot that is also season ending. She actually kept playing on it for what it's worth. Like, they have identified the play in the game in which she broke her foot. And then on the ensuing play, you see her sprinting down the court. Call it adrenaline, sure. We're going to call it heart and hustle because that's what she's brought to the Fever, as well as a true point guard on the floor when they needed it most. And now she's done for the year, but at least she can focus on school, I guess, which is still sad.
Yeah.
But also there's another part of this that I know was really what was the sticking point for you.
I don't even know what there's
the 9 player. Your issues with the hardships. Yes.
Well, yeah, there was that too. There was a whole, they find this out. They have a day or two between games. At that point, they play Phoenix.
Or no, one, because they played. The Mercury game was on a Thursday, and they were playing Saturday at home against the Sky.
Yeah, so they barely had time to kind of figure all that out. And then the league rules were that you have to have at least one game without those available players to get a hardship. And so then you had to wait. But the other fun shining point is somebody that I had previously pegged to come to the Fever when she got released was Odyssey Sims, is now on a hardship with the Fever. So another note that I did see about that is that we know this one.
Oh yeah, this is the part where Mitch Northam and I, if he was here, we would do the Brian Windhorst meme. Have you seen us do that before, Rebecca? Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go in 3, 2, 1. Yes, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, that was a beautiful moment. Yes, Rebecca holds up the Caitlin Clark big head. I do the Brian Windhorst meme. Because you have access to the WNBA's PR portal, and you did a little super sleuthing before we fired up the podcast this evening.
I just saw that some info about the fact that if they could sign another hardship player right now.
Yes, there is an extra roster spot because they had 9 available players. They are now at 10. Yes.
So they could, but because this one is still out, if she comes back, they would have to release that player. So does that mean that we maybe have a timeline? The other thing that showed up was that her status changed to game time decision. There was another site that had her Caitlin listed as questionable. Though Steph White did come out today and say she's out tomorrow, which is not expecting that. But I know you had discussed this timeline of like the 3rd week in August. And I think that's kind of consistent because this week they're home all the way until, I think, is it through Saturday until Saturday?
One of the two.
But that had kind of been the projected like August 17th kind of time frame. The one thing is that it seems like they're still ramping her up in practice, but you'd think with the full week at home, you could maybe get her back into kind of the
By
regular
Saturday.
rotation and maybe get there. Saturday, you're also playing the Sun, and no shame, the Sun, they're doing some things, but like, do you need her for the Sun? Maybe not. But hopefully after that to make that last push, because you do have some other teams that you need to fight to stay in that playoff spot. So you may need her. Now, I believe in Odyssey Sims, first of all. I have loved her since last year. I think that she is a great decision maker. She will be a great backup for whatever kind of point guard situation we have in the starting lineup. But I think a great ball handler, because you don't have a true ball handler right now. So I think she will be that for the Fever. And I was very sad that she had been sitting out there. I know she was out for personal reasons, and I was a little worried she may not come back or be available for the Fever, but I'm glad that they got her.
To clarify on the point guard part of it all, before we circle back to the Caitlin and the conspiracy theory surrounding when Caitlin Clark will return from that right groin injury at long last, who do you want to see? Obviously, Odyssey Sims gives you depth at the point guard position. Are you in favor? Because I know you text it to me seemingly every day in jest, and I agree with it. Are you in favor of Aaliyah Boston being the point forward that the Chicago Sky are trying to turn Angel Reese into, or are you more comfortable with Kelsey Mitchell stepping into a role that she previously had in Indiana? Do you want to see Sophie Cunningham with the ball in her hands, bringing the ball up the floor more? Or is it a combination and it's by committee?
I think that, their by committee thing did kind of work, and that takes the pressure at least off of Aaliyah to do what she does best and get to the basket and be able to, post up and do that work. But I was kind of surprised they didn't have Aaliyah on the ball more, because it seemed like that was not happening as much. I do think that she can thrive in that position. We've seen it. The one thing I'll mention about the Sky game, though, that I also saw some chatter about, was that they were not putting a lot of pressure on the ball handlers. And I worry that when we get to Dallas Tuesday, that there may be some more pressure and some more turnovers that start to happen when you have, a little bit more of a loose ball handler. And, they really will have to tighten up on that. So I think that'll be kind of interesting to see. I think that all of them are they seemed like, they didn't have a tight, like, real handle on the ball all the time. So it's hard to say, but I think it's obviously going to have to be by committee. I don't expect Aaliyah to necessarily always be primary ball handler, but I would like to see maybe her in that point forward position a little bit more in the next game.
I agree, because she can take the ball up and down the floor and create, which is, again, an area of her game that a year ago, I don't know if we would be saying she had that to her repertoire, but she does. I'm personally of the belief that Kelsey Mitchell has had such success in 2025 playing off the ball. I don't want to see her as a primary facilitator. If anything, and I know this is tough given the last 2-3 week stretch she's had since being inserted in the starting lineup, I don't even want to see Sophie Cunningham as the primary point guard, because I think she's been such a great threat from the wing. And that's only occurring when she's freed up and she's not having to create for other players. So yeah, it's going to have to be by committee, but I'm glad they signed Odyssey Sims. But to your point, yes, Holly Rowe, right after Caitlin's right groin injury, reported, and again, I've said it on this podcast and I'll say it again, I said it on ESPN radio too, like, ultimately, she said right after the injury, she talked to Steph, and Steph's response was, well, the first time she sat out for 2 weeks. The second time she got hurt with the left groin injury, she sat out for 3 weeks. And now we're going to be extra careful and in ramping her back up. So expect like essentially double. And Holly said, and I think it was like July 21st, she was like, that would put her the third week of August, mid-August. And obviously August 17th is slam dab in the middle of the month. And so that's what I have been expecting. We are recording this podcast on Monday, August 11th. If the Fever were to have signed a player today or yesterday, they would not be able to say bye-bye to that 10-day hardship waiver player until August 20th or August 21st, which means that the overarching lurking figure, she's lurking again, folks, Caitlin Clark, will be returning in the next 10 days. Book it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to be one on a podcast, TV, or radio. But if you connect the dots, this is a significant development for WNBA fans. And I believe she was always coming back. contrary to those who said we need to shut everybody down because the Fever are done. No, the Fever right now are in 5th place in the WNBA standings, and Mitch and I both had them as 4th in our tiers when at full strength. And so the Fever are in the postseason so long as they don't blank down their pants. Yes, as long as they don't bleep down their pants, they're going to be just fine.